Dad's secret kid from an affair he hid for 8 years finally got busted by Mom. She's ready to cut ties, even if it means leaving with nothing. But this time, I stopped her. Because I've lived this life before. Dad's terminally ill. If we just wait it out, all his assets will be ours, mine and Mom's. Lucy, if your dad and I split, would you come with me? Mom asked again. This time, it wasn't a tough call. I firmly told her, Mom, don't get divorced. Mom's eyes filled with tears. You know, your dad's kid is just 6 months younger than you. How can I let that go? If we divorce, we wouldn't have to see them, you'd be with me, right? I only have you. Mom, no. She asked why. Because I've been here before. Last time, they divorced, and Mom gave up everything for my custody. Everything they worked for went to that woman and her kid. Then, 2 months later, Dad died of late-stage stomach cancer. He revealed the affair just because he was dying and wanted to secure things for his other kid. He refused to let Mom have any custody over me, and to take me, she had to leave with nothing. Divorce papers barely inked, he married the other woman. When he passed, she inherited everything legally. Mom and I were cut off. Mom struggled to start over, beset by their sabotage. Even simple things like starting a stall were crushed. She turned to bar work to support me, sinking into despair. The other woman tormented her for 10 years until Mom took her life on my 18th birthday. Even then, she didn't stop. She paid others to bully me, spread lies. I was the bastard, and my mom the homewrecker. With nobody, I was hit by a truck one night. All fueled by the fortune she inherited from Dad. This time, I'm protecting Mom from that scumbag. Mom, do you believe in dreams? I told her everything. She murmured, I'd never degrade myself like that or leave you. I know, but in desperation, who wouldn't cling to a lifeline, no matter how dirty? Mom, hurt by Dad's betrayal, let the company slide. While pretending to reconcile, he took full control. Mom doubted but loved me too much to ignore. Even if just a dream, she investigated. Back to work she went. That evening, her face was tight, Dad looked ticked. I teased, Dad, are you a dirty cucumber? He almost had a fit. Online, they call cheating men that, I couldn't resist. Mom clamped her hand over my mouth, scolded me for the language. As I nodded, she loosened her grip. I asked, are you splitting up? She laughed, of course not. I've forgiven him, we're good. Dad's face was all shades of angry, he scolded me and stormed off without dinner. While Mom showered, I checked her phone. Anna, the other woman, sent her some photos. She was trying to provoke Mom into divorcing Dad. Mocking her for being uptight, saying they were the real deal had Grandpa not pressured Dad to marry Mom. I texted back, I don't believe you. Isn't your photo edited? I remember Jimmy has a mole on his left butt cheek, not in your pic. Anna fired back a scandalous video proving it. It made me want to puke. I downloaded and posted it to my Twitter, all under Mom's account. I censored the nasty bits with thick pixels and captioned it, Auntie's skills are good. Mom isn't as wild, so Dad wants a divorce. How do I stop being a fatherless child before age 9 without getting into trouble? Dad was playing emotional games, and Anna was pushing Mom towards divorce. But I didn't expect him to get so furious. He slapped me hard enough for 2 teeth to fly out. Oh man, it really hurts. But compared to the excruciating pain of being run over by a big truck, that slap was just a drizzle. Mom lunged at him, scratching his face into a mess. Red marks everywhere, looking pretty awful. He ordered me to delete the video, and I obediently did. Though, deleting it didn't matter much. Overnight, who knows how many people saved their video. On my Twitter, there are several aunts who are always on the cutting edge of gossip, and I believe their combat skills won't disappoint Dad. Jimmy yelled at Mom, saying, look at the good daughter you raised. He slammed the door as he left. My mouth was full of blood, and Mom was crying, wanting to take me to the hospital. I said no. Mom, if there's trouble, we should go to the police. Mom felt sorry for me, wanting to take me to the hospital first, but she still got dragged by me to the police station. Blood was gushing all the way, and once inside, I finally spat it all out. With blood all over my mouth, I shakily reached out my hand to a pretty officer lady, holding the 2 teeth I had clenched the entire way. Officer, Lucy wants to report this. Dad's had it good for so many years, it should be his first time at the police station. And it's for hitting his own daughter. For all his success and pride in recent years, this was a first in losing face so badly. His face turned various shades of green and purple. I lost 2 teeth, and my face was swollen like a steamed bun. The officer said my injuries met the criteria for administrative punishment. If Mom and I insisted, Dad could face a 5-day detention or a fine. If I can put Dad behind bars, I'd be more than happy. Plus, it buys Mom 5 days of time. Dad used my video to argue his case. I quickly pulled out my kid's phone, opened Anna and Dad's video, and cranked up the brightness to show everyone present. Dad's video was this one, where Auntie said Dad liked her skills and she even gave him a son, advising Mom to divorce Dad sooner. Although Dad's a bad apple, Lucy doesn't want Mom and Dad to get divorced. Lucy doesn't want to be without Dad, she just wants some advice from folks online. As I hit the sad part, tears flowed down my face like rivers, washing over my swollen cheeks. If there were a crack in the ground, Dad would probably dive right in. After some awkward silence, the uncles and aunts kindly explained to me that posting such vile things on Twitter was illegal. But since I'm young and unaware, and deleted them quickly, I only got a verbal warning. Now everyone knew about Dad's betrayal, looking at him with even more disdain. Because Mom and I insisted, with the facts laid out, Dad had no choice but to face 5 days inside. Trading 2 teeth for 5 days for Mom felt like a pretty good deal. Now's not the time for me to wallow. After seeing the doctor, I urged Mom to head to the company. I also told her that some key roles at the company were filled by Anna's relatives. Mom panicked a little, got 2 strong female bodyguards to look after me, and rushed off to handle things at work. Dad was probably what they call a Phoenix man online. He came from a poor family with just a widowed mother who worked hard to put him through school. Mom's family wasn't particularly well off, but Granddad's work unit did give them an apartment. It was in the downtown area, so not bad at all. After Dad and Mom graduated and got married, Granddad sold that apartment to give them some startup money. With that, they turned a small husband and wife workshop into a business now valued at nearly $1 billion. Mom's super smart and handles things at work like a pro. But she's big on emotions. Last life, Dad played the emotional card with her and me, sweet-talking her into leaving everything behind. Mom thought she could start from scratch. But the world is unpredictable. With me as a burden and Anna hounding her, starting a business was impossible. Even supporting the 2 of us was tough. It seems like kids are always the weak spot for most moms. If it wasn't for me, there's no way Mom would have willingly let go of everything she'd worked for. I refused to go down the same tragic path. This time, I'm protecting Mom. After 5 days inside, I'm sure Dad is furious with both of us. When he got out, he didn't bother coming home and just moved straight to the love nest he'd built for Anna and her son. Because of the video, Dad became the company's laughingstock. Mom said that on his first day back at work after getting out, he was like a gorilla in a crowd, being ogled and whispered about by everyone. Even some cynical aunts secretly cursed him behind his back, rolling their eyes at him. Freshly out of jail, and still having to deal with this, he threw a fit at the company and almost ran those people out. Of course, Mom stopped him. After learning Mom kicked Anna's relatives out of the company, he had a big fight with her. Their relationship completely shattered. Dad knew the emotional card would no longer work to make Mom leave empty-handed. He was willing to split the assets and divorce peacefully, Mom found out from Dad's private doctor about a condition he had, and apparently, even if the surgery was successful, he didn't have much time. So she absolutely refused. This confirmed everything I'd said to Mom, and she'd never trust Dad again. Dad knew his time was limited. He couldn't afford to drag things out with us. But Mom wouldn't agree to part ways peacefully. So, he filed for divorce. Mom held my hand and we both cried to the staff. Even though he was at fault, we were willing to forgive him. Our relationship was so good, how could we give up over this? We begged to dismiss his divorce application. I cried too, Dad, Lucy doesn't want to lose you. Dad looked miserable. He couldn't prove their relationship had broken down. All his stuff with Anna only proved he couldn't control himself. But Mom and I were willing to forgive him though. Mom had the patience of a saint when it came to Dad's mess. She just wanted him back with the family. After a long struggle, his first attempt to file for divorce failed. If he wanted to try again, he had to wait 6 months, at least if Mom refused. But he couldn't wait that long. Mom told me Dad secretly took a lot of money from the company. He was planning for Anna and her kid. He was scared if he died, Anna and her son would get nothing. He even made a will in secret, leaving part of his estate to his illegitimate child. I worriedly asked Mom why she didn't stop him. She told me not to worry, she'd handle it. No way would she let strangers get a dime from us. I spilled everything I knew to Mom. Dad couldn't fool her anymore. I was sure she wouldn't be taken advantage of. In our past life, Mom and I were pitiful. I'm not heartless, I just don't want to give that mother-son duo a penny. Dad's choices really broke my heart. He was never home, so I had to go to where he and Anna lived to find him. I knew where they stayed. He'd put them up in one of the best villa areas in our city. I'd been there in a past life seeking Anna's help. I kneeled at their doorstep, begging her to let me and Mom go. But she simply laughed, pushing me down with her high heel on my face. She said fate caught up to me. Who told your shameless mom to intrude on our love? Her sharp heel hurt, and some onlookers spat and hurled insults at me. She told me I could save my mom by kneeling, and I did. Her laugh was even more menacing, clinging to her son with delight. That smug face made me want to puke. Now, it's payback time. I showed up with the bodyguards Mom hired for me, armed with photos of her and Dad, getting directions all the way to their villa. Their door was wide open. The once arrogant woman was peacefully watering flowers with her son outside. Auntie. Anna froze seeing me and the group of curious women from the neighborhood. They were gossiping openly. I knew her husband was always away. She said he was a busy company president, but turns out he's with a homewrecker. How shameless. Some were saying, you never know with people who seem nice. You can't trust appearances. They advised others to stay away from her kind, not to corrupt their kids. Anna pretended not to know me, denying everything. But I had already shown our photos around. No one believed her. As the gossip got harsh, Anna demanded we leave. I wiped my tears and started my act. Begging, I cried, Anna, please don't let Dad divorce Mom. I'll give you money if you leave. Isn't it the money you like? I smashed my piggy bank, coins scattering everywhere, and picked them up, placing a handful in her hands. The crowd's mockery grew louder. Her son Frank lunged at me, so I yanked his ear until he screamed. Anna was stopped by my bodyguards when she tried to help. I continued crying, kicking, scratching, and grabbing Frank fiercely. I lost it, attacking Frank. Without you, Dad wouldn't leave me. My blame was relentless. Frank, smaller than me, was no match. He was no brother but a devil. He and his mom stole everything from us and even had the nerve to retaliate. As I got older, he paid others at school to spread lies, claiming Mom broke up their family, leading to Dad's death. He even urged bullies to lock me in the bathroom, ruin my books, cheat at my tests, and drench me with filthy water. Dad showed up, and Frank was a complete mess. Anna sobbed, holding her son, while Dad raised his hand, ready to hit. My bodyguards shielded me, fists ready if Dad made a move. I stuck my head out defiantly, daring him to hit me if he wanted jail time. You knocked out my teeth before, is this round 2? I'm just trying to save our family. What did I do wrong? You're the disgrace, running around with others, and I'm cursed with a dad like you. Eyewitnesses flamed them both, pointing blamed fingers. My words clearly rattled Dad, and he crumbled in the garden, clutching his chest. I didn't expect him to pass out so easily. I quickly called 911 in tears. The ambulance arrived, and Anna tried tagging along with her bruised boy, but I shoved her away. Dad's stress led to severe issues, worsening his cancer. The doctors said if we didn't do the surgery right away, he probably wouldn't make it through the month. If he had the surgery, there was a 30% chance it could work. But even if it was successful, at best, he'd only live another year or so. When Dad woke up, the first thing he did was try to yell at me, but Mom immediately slapped him hard. Since you're already in bed, just stay put. She snapped. Dad looked furious, but he was too weak to even walk a few steps without gasping for air. He couldn't stand up to Mom now. I pushed him back onto the bed and told him what the doctor said, asking what he wanted to do. I don't know if he had surgery in a past life, but I know he died soon after. Dad looked grim. You could tell he was upset, but it didn't affect Mom or me at all. No matter what he chose, he couldn't escape death in the end. He eventually chose to go for the surgery. I wasn't surprised. He was always afraid of dying and would grab any chance to stay alive. Grandma passed away early, so now it's just Mom and me as his closest family. Mom signed the surgery consent form for him. Dad asked to see Anna and Frank before the surgery, but Mom flatly refused. He tried to call them, but Mom had already taken away his phone. He yelled and smashed things in the room. I held Mom's hand and said maybe we should let them come if Dad wanted it so badly. Mom didn't really get it. She found that mother and son annoying, but seeing how insistent I was, she agreed. Anna brought Frank to the hospital and threw herself on Dad, crying her heart out. Just then, the doctors came around for their rounds. I introduced Anna and Frank to them. Anna's face turned pale with embarrassment, especially since her son didn't look much younger than me. Dad didn't look happy either. Years of saving face probably went out the window by now. With teary eyes, I played up my act for the doctors, saying that even though Dad wasn't the best, Lucy didn't want him to die. Uncle and Auntie, you have to save Dad. Dad's face went green. Right after that, Mom contacted various people from Dad's company to come and visit. Once the doctors left, they showed up. Anna tried to sneak out with Frank, but Mom's bodyguards blocked them. Since Dad wants you here, might as well stay for a while. After the company folks left, came Dad's schoolmates, primary, middle school, high school, and college friends. Somehow, Mom managed to contact all of them. They came in batches, and each time, Mom warmly introduced them again. Dad was stripped bare socially, in the way people say you die of embarrassment. Anna wasn't doing well either, and her son Frank, even more so, he just sulked in a corner quietly. Mom sipped from her cup, saying, if you like, tomorrow Anna can bring Frank and some distant relatives from our hometown. Dad, weakly, urged Anna and Frank to leave. Dad finally calmed down after that. Waiting for the surgery was long and torturous. Maybe it was because Dad was bored or delusional, but he started to lecture me. Lucy, Frank is your brother. He's the only son I have. He's the future of our family. Can't you treat him better? I frowned at him, really recognizing for the first time how much he preferred boys over girls. I dug out 2 teeth he had knocked out from me when I was younger and dangled them in front of him. Do you really think that's possible? Dad was furious, saying, every parent hits their kids, I've been good to you. Look at back home, which girl lives as well as you do? You don't know how lucky you are." His words disgusted me. "Dad, you're shameless," I said. "Relying on Grandpa's money to start a business, choosing to cheat when Mom was pregnant, and with a kid only half a year younger than me. Now you're about to die and want Mom to leave us nothing so you can hand everything to your other son. You think you treated me well, but I don't feel a thing. You call yourself civilized with high standards, but your mind is stuck in the past, wanting to take everything from Mom to give to your illegitimate child. I've never met a more trashy old man than you. A guy like you would definitely go to hell." Dad's hand trembled, pointing at me. I slapped it away. "Didn't you teach me it's rude to point at people? No class at all. You get out." His stammer annoyed me, so I just shoved an unpeeled apple in his mouth. "Shut up. Trying to brainwash me into treating his other son well, what nerve." If I didn't have memories from a past life, I might have believed his nonsense. Finally, the day came for Dad's surgery. He was wheeled into the operating room. Mom and I waited by the door. Maybe because I already knew his fate from before, I wasn't nervous at all. I even felt a hidden sense of anticipation. Anna still showed up with Frank. I stood up, and Frank quickly hid behind Anna. I snorted. "Coward." Mom glanced at Anna without saying anything. Anna awkwardly came over, saying, "Alice, I came to see Jimmy." Mom ignored her, treating her like she didn't exist. From morning till afternoon, the light above the operating room finally changed. A moment later, the lead doctor came out, face serious. He looked at Mom and me with pity in his eyes. "Say what you need to say while you still can." Behind, Anna let out a piercing wail and crumpled to the floor, bawling. Dad's surgery failed. He was taken back to his room. The doctors said his time was short and advised us to make arrangements. Dad looked so pale, like he was surrounded by a cloud of death. But when he saw Anna and Frank, a spark of brightness shot through his eyes. "Frank." I slammed the RV door shut. "Stop shouting, just wait for the end." We moved Dad back to his old room, and Mom calmly started making arrangements for his last road trip. She even talked about how many wreaths were needed and what kind of urn to get, right in front of him. Thinking about all the tragedy from my past life and seeing Dad in this pitiful state made me feel oddly satisfied. Since it's summer break, I've got loads of time to hang with Dad. I sat by his bedside, talking his ear off about family stuff. Anna and her kid popped by again, but Mom kicked them out. "You know what her life's like now?" I asked. "She's as popular as a rat in the alley at the fancy place you got for her. And she wants to move out, but Mom froze all your accounts, so her credit card's no good. Once your funeral is done, Mom's planning to sue to get back every cent you spent on her. If she spent it, Mom will make her repay it." Dad stared at me, croaking out, "Frank, Frank." Even at death's doorstep, his mind was on his illegitimate son. I couldn't help but chuckle darkly. "You think making a will covers everything? Who knows if it's even legally binding? Sure, they say illegitimate kids have inheritance rights, but who can prove Frank is yours? You think a private paternity test makes you secure?" Mom asked a lawyer. "Your test is worthless. Mom's got the funeral all lined up, and without our say-so, Anna doesn't have a prayer of legally proving Frank is your kid. They're not getting a dime from us." Dad convulsed, shaking before finally calming down. His eyes were full of hatred. "If looks could kill, I'd be dead 1,000 times over. Are we in the wrong for not wanting to lose what's rightfully ours? In my past life, if Dad had had a shred of decency and hadn't schemed against Mom, we wouldn't have suffered so much. He's the one to blame for how things turned out." I met his gaze. "Just wait and see," I said. Dad passed away in the middle of the night. I doubt his end was easy. Maybe if I hadn't pissed him off, he might have hung on for another day or two. I admit I did it intentionally. Why should he get to peace out after all he did to hurt us? I wanted him worried sick about Anna and her kid till the end. Mom stayed on top of arranging everything for him. On our return from the crematorium, we bumped into Anna and her son. Learning of Dad's passing left them heartbroken. Who knows how much of it was genuine, but now with Dad gone, they'd be out in the cold for sure. Mom didn't stop them from attending the funeral. They were part of it the whole way through. Once the funeral was over, the topic of inheritance came up. Anna claimed Frank was Dad's son and wanted a slice of his estate. Talk is cheap though, and she had no proof. Mom and I weren't buying it. Dad was ashes by now, what's he gonna do, rise from them and take a paternity test with Frank? Not only was she getting zilch from his estate, but she'd also have to return the funds Dad spent on them. Mom wasn't messing around and brought all the evidence she'd collected. Every cent Dad spent on them was joint property with Mom, making it Anna's job to cough it up. Everything from the house in Anna's name to those luxury buys, it was all laid out plain. Anna's claims of willing gifts weren't gonna cut it. Anna was flustered, and someone advised her to try and sort things out with a neighborhood mediation TV show. She went on camera, crying about how ruthless Mom was, accusing her of trying to ruin them after Dad's death, likely hoping to turn public opinion and pressure us to cave. How naive. Did she think people would twist their morals to pity her? Exposing her worst self to the world, what a move. Sympathy gathering isn't hard, plus Mom and I were the real victims here. Mom played along with the mediator, venting how Lucy was just a smidge older than their kid but had been leeching off us for so many years. I couldn't even put my work aside in the month after Lucy's birth. I was the one behind all those early setup struggles at the factory, finance, purchasing, customer service, transportation. I managed it all, she shared. The day I was done with quarantining post-childbirth, I got on my scooter for tax errands and got drenched waiting out a storm under a bridge since I was saving taxi fare. Mom had poured every bit of herself into succeeding here, and all Anna saw was the glory, not the grind. While Mom hustled for the factory, Dad found time to fool around outside. How could anyone not be angry? Mom was just holding on to her rightful property, nothing wrong with that. Anna switched her story, saying she was deceived by Dad and didn't know he was married before. Because Dad was busy starting a business, he was already over 30 when I was born. He had some success and wasn't bad looking, but couldn't always be there for her. Why would she think he was single? Everyone knows those excuses might fool a kid. Her denial looked really flimsy on camera. She begged Mom to not be so heartless to her and her son, for Dad's sake. We're already rich, she didn't ask for Frank to inherit Dad's assets, just a little scrap from Mom would mean nothing to us. She spoke persuasively, trying to sound pitiful. Too bad the decision maker was Mom, not the mediators or the camera people. Mom laid out evidence of all the money Dad spent on Anna right after telling the story. He gifted her villas worth millions like it was nothing, swapped out expensive cars for her frequently, and spent tens of millions in total. Even the elite school Frank attended cost dozens of times more than my elementary school. Their life was way more extravagant than what Mom and I lived. Broadcasting this mediation show did Anna no favors. Instead, it drew a storm of criticism. Gossiping folks online even traced her social media accounts. Almost every post showed off her lavish lifestyle, showcasing luxury homes, cars, and jewelry. When in a bad mood, she'd go splurge at high-end stores and travel on impulse. Flying to Tokyo for sushi one day, feeding pigeons in London the next. She painted the picture of a pampered, high-society woman who got whatever she wanted. Her flaunting amassed her over hundreds of thousands of followers, several express envy in their comments. The stark contrast between her on-camera persona and her online persona made her a target for endless criticism. Tons of people flooded her profiles with hate. Maybe she couldn't handle the online attacks. Anna soon wiped her profiles clean and set them to private. I only followed their situation occasionally. Knowing they're not doing well always made me feel better. After more than 6 months of legal battles, her villa and all luxury cars and jewelry got returned. The money already spent needed to be repaid within a set time frame. Mom quickly sold the villa at a discount. The buyer kicked Anna and her son out. They couldn't afford Frank's elite school anymore. Shortly after, he left that school and enrolled in a pretty basic private elementary. Anna survived on Dad's financial support. She had no job or income. Her lifestyle didn't allow for such spending control. Whatever money she had wasn't enough. Now, they became homeless. Due to unpaid debts by the deadline, Anna got labeled as a dishonest person. She'd been living luxuriously for so many years, without any skills, she couldn't sustain herself. One cold winter day, Anna showed up at our doorstep, thinly dressed, dragging Frank along. Crying and sniffling, she begged Mom for forgiveness. I stepped forward and told her, if she kneeled to Mom, I'd give her some money. After hesitating for a moment, Anna pulled Frank down to kneel in front of Mom. Mom clearly didn't expect her to actually do it. She quickly stepped aside. That's the difference between people. Mom would never humiliate another woman like that, no matter what. I pulled out a card from my pocket and tossed it to Anna. It had $50,000, she could use it to change Frank's last name. Before, 50 grand would have been chump change to her. But now, it's a fortune for her. She changed Frank's residency, sent us a photo. I specifically took that photo to Dad's grave to burn it there. I wondered if he could see it. If he could, he'd probably be pissed again. Before dying, he tried to secure things for that son, against me and Mom. And now $50,000 settled Anna to willingly change her son's last name. I urged Mom to change our last name too, to sever ties with Dad and our former lives completely. Later, Mom mentioned seeing Anna at a few parties. She still played the innocent flower act, with different men each time. As she aged, she started a small stand to make ends meet. As for Frank, he took up petty crimes, habits he couldn't shake off in adulthood. In and out of trouble for theft. At 18, he crossed the wrong guy, lost an arm and his eyesight. He became completely useless. Mom and I never pushed them to their limits. Their life still ended up like this.